Young people today are always looking for the best way to make the best investment, but seldomly do they know that the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And we're going to talk about the best investments that you can make in yourself when we come back. Welcome back, my friend, to another episode of Mindset Movers. Today, I got my good friend Grant Augenstein with me, who grew up in Ferguson with me. Now, Grant is a real estate investor, a business owner. He bought his first rental property when he was 22 years old. He has 42 properties now and is 31 years old. And Grant is also the owner of Ever Ready Services, and they do over $1 million a year in revenue. Now, Grant, you are absolutely crushing it, my friend. Where do you get your drive, and why do you do it?
First off, I want to say that I'm crushing it. There's a lot of people doing a lot better than I am, but my drive has always been like, it all goes down to when you grow up in a situation where you're poor or you're below middle class. I think everybody's got that little resentment slash wanting to get after it. I remember when I was a kid seeing those different things where it's like, man, how do those people do it? Or where if you're from St. Louis, like, how do those people live in Chesterfield and we live here type deal. And I always thought it was a secret, but so I always wanted to get more money just to have more freedom was always the, and it's still my pursuit. I have a lot of debt, and I'm not setting the world on fire when it comes to income, but I got blessed to have a good start. So,
amen, amen. So, what is the best investment that someone could make in themselves? Because a lot of people think that they want to get, make investment into a property or make an investment into a certain product or whatnot. But what's the best investment that you can make into yourself?
I'd say the best investment that you can make into yourself, and a lot of people say this, and you'll hear it over and over and over again, but you've got to find something that you're passionate in doing, and whether that's a childhood dream or it's just something that you fall into. I always knew that I'd want to be self-employed at some point in my life, and whenever you get out of high school, trade school, college is the scariest time where the rubber hits the road and where the real world hits you in the face. So going through college, studying real estate, studying finance, everything looks good on paper until you get out in the real world, and it's nothing like that. But the best investment I think that you can make in yourself is just having a clear vision of what you want to do. I'm not saying that you have to say, I want to be a concrete contractor that only does driveways at 15 years old, but you need to just say, hey, I want to be self-employed, or I want to be an executive, or I want to run a company, or I don't really care about money too much, but I want to be the best dad in the world, I want to be the best whatever. But if you have that vision and you keep that in front, and you're only going to have that vision if you're passionate about what you do. So I always anytime I've done anything good in my life, I always call it laser focus. So I just lasered in, focused 100% on achieving whatever it is, and every single day when I wake up, every night when I go to bed, that's all I think about. And God willing, it always came to pass. And the cool part is, if you're super passionate, everything I've ever done that's amounted to anything has always been way harder than I thought, but the reward was way better than I thought it was going to be. So I think that's just a universal law in the world.
Amen, dude. And I can relate to that so much because I remember a point in time in my life when I didn't have any direction or any inner purpose, and I didn't have those goals laid out. But once I figured out what it is that I wanted to do, how I wanted to provide service, like you said, it lights a fire up underneath you and kind of gives you a new breath of air, man. Really, really fantastic. Another thing I wanted to get into, because it's funny, how do you respond when people tell you that you're lucky because of where you're at, or you're an overnight success?
Actually, it was real funny when I was reading through your questions before this, because one of a group of my real good friends, Mike Palmer and Bobby Koenig, have bought the 50, 60 homes, super successful. They literally just built an apartment complex, a high-end apartment complex in downtown Ferguson with 4 people. And we used to always joke around on Saturdays and Sundays when we were working 12-hour days on rental properties, whether we're working on mine or theirs. We'd always joke around when everybody else is like, man, you guys are lucky, or man, you guys, this just happened out of nowhere, and here we are. I'll never forget, we were replacing a stack in one of my rental properties at an inspection, and it is midnight, and it's literally where the shit water goes down, and we're replacing it at midnight to pass the inspection the next day so a person can move in. And I, as the owner, was doing it with my friends who were the contractors, and they wanted to make that much more money, even though they're multimillionaires, to help me out and to make that good money. So, I mean, luck, and I just think it's when people say that, because you'll find yourself you're more lucky and you're going to be more successful the more Saturdays and Sundays you work when you're young. So,
amen.
I just think it's funny. So it's a because we always, that's our little joke. We'll text each other like on a Saturday when I know they're working and I'm working. I go lucky. It's just one word. We just laugh about it. So
yeah, there ain't no luck to it. It's all hard work and sweat and smart work. Which brings me to the next thing. In entrepreneurship, discipline's everything. And what is probably the best discipline that you've mastered, and what's the sweetest benefit that you received from mastering that discipline?
That's a good question. I never really thought about it like that. I always think about all the disciplines I don't have, like staying in shape and different things like that. But I think the number one discipline that has helped me probably in the last 2 years is my wife and my mentor and a couple other people I know closely all say that I pay people too much and that I got to really watch out for that. And, in my wife's defense, she only sees the money go out and in. She doesn't see everything that goes behind it. But I've always been disciplined in just the one time in business that it is good. When you know you're right, and especially when you're the owner, you make the decision. So I've been disciplined in people who are really close to me, shutting them out and saying, no, this is the way I'm going to do it because my gut feeling or I know it, I'm going to do it. So one of those disciplines is by no means do you want to be super anal or not listen to people, but there's sometimes when you've got to put your foot down and not be persuaded because you know it's right, especially when you're the owner because you got to live with the decision. So I think it's a discipline no matter what anybody's telling me. Sometimes I make those decisions and I stick to them and I don't sway off course no matter where it's coming from, whether it's my wife, my mentor, or anybody else, and I stay the course and reap the consequences. And it's worked out really well because our company does what it does and grows like it does because our team, not because of me. So
sounds like you're saying go with your gut instinct, that intuition that you get. I could, every time that I've had that gut instinct and something telling me to do something and I've not done it, it always came back to bite me. And every time that I went through with it, with that gut instinct, when I know something's telling me to do it, it's never ever failed me, not one single time. So going with your gut instinct is key. We're going to be right back, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the best ways that you can invest in yourself. What up, my friend? We are back from the break. We've been talking about the best ways that you can invest in yourself, and that is ultimately the best investments that you can make in general. So, Grant, I always like to ask people this question. What's the biggest mistake that you've made in your career?
The biggest mistake I think I made was all the houses and all the different house, I guess you could say houses, single-family house, that's what we bought the most of. I passed up on, and it's just so funny now that the market's recovered. A lot of our rental properties, we can have like 3 on one street or all over, and I'm just sitting there driving by these all the time like, damn, I should have bought that, damn, I should have bought that, damn, I should have bought that. It just so everybody knows, I've been fortunate enough on the rental property side to where I was aggressive with what I could do. So I came out of college. I was only making $35,000 a year, but I got 4 mortgages, lived with my mom, stacked up all the money I could. I refinanced houses, and then one of my uncle's really good friends and my business mentor is a multimillionaire and real conservative, real humble guy, but he bankrolled me on a majority of the rental properties. So I could move at an absolute speed and buy pretty much as I can handle because I did a lot of the work myself. But those are things now looking back that the market's recovered. I just look at all these different houses that I passed up on that were not within my parameters by a couple $1,000, and I wish I would have bought more. So
nice, yeah, that's really insightful. I kind of want to get in a little bit of kind of switch up here. So after making all these investments, because like you said, you're living at your mom's house, you're refinancing these houses, and then you start getting these rental properties, and then you go in to start your own business of Ever Ready Services. What drove you to starting that business, and what kind of services do you guys provide in the St. Louis area and whatnot?
Well, yeah, so my cousin has Ever Ready Services that's out of Kansas City, and he opened up in St. Louis, and I was going to head up that market, and some stuff went down to where I had to be in the position where I had to buy out within the first 2 years of business. I had to buy out what was existing for the St. Louis Ever Ready. There's no affiliation now, but essentially we do carpet cleaning for multifamily, so about 85 to 100 complexes we service daily. And then we also do emergency water mitigation if a pipe broke, if sewer backed up. We get in, clean everything out, and dry it out with drying equipment. So it's kind of one of those things, too, where if you just have a passion and you follow what God kind of puts in you, and you're always hustling, things will open up, and things open up at the least expected time. I mean, you would never tell me after I got on Mizzou that I'd make a career out of sucking up shit water, but that's what we do, and I love doing it. So, but you just gotta keep that laser focus and know what you want in a general concept, and as opportunities come out, take advantage of them, take a risk, and keep going down. I mean, I'll never forget on Everready, and I still do this now. I do this quite a bit. Staying up all night, looking at the numbers, game planning every single morning. I probably spend 2 hours when everybody else is asleep. And I'd start my day at 4:30. I'd look at every scenario every single day over and over again. Probably more than I should. I should focus more on sales, but so there's a lot that goes into it. And what I'm also finding out, not to be a downer, is as things progress, it's still the same issue. So back when I thought $10,000 was a lot in the bank, and then $100,000. It's still the same stresses. It's actually on a larger scale, but the rewards are bigger. So, but that's kind of how I ended up in the having the business that I did. So, I didn't go out and think this grand scheme or do anything like that. I was just in a position where I either had to start my own company with a skill set, or I had to buy out my cousins, and I did. So,
you took the leap.
Yeah. So
we both listened to Gary Vee and Grant Cardone. What are some other personal development, either books or podcasts that you like to listen to that kind of feed your mind and spirit?
The best, and I don't read very well. I'm actually really, really bad at reading. So the best book that I would tell everybody to go buy is called Doing Business by the Good Book, and it was written by David Stewart, who is he is the owner of Worldwide Technology. It's a $1 billion company in St. Louis. It is by far the best book. It's 52 chapters. It's all faith-based, but he's a African-American pioneer in the technology world, facing all the adversities, and he just talks about how his faith pushed him through, and now, I don't even know how many billions. I mean, his book's probably written 10 or 15 years ago, and he took it from a company literally with $0 to $1 billion in 10 years. They're building that huge building at 270 and Westport, and they own half of Westport Station, so it's a very good book. It's an easy read. I like it because there's 52 chapters and they're only 5 or 6 pages. So right now I'm reading that book for the third time, where I'll just read a chapter at night, think about it all the next day, read another chapter at night, and it's good stuff to fill your head with.
Amen. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Grant is going to show us how to make an investment, how to crunch the numbers, because a guy like me has no clue whatsoever. Welcome back, my friend. Now we're about to get into the meat and potatoes of this segment. Grant's going to show us how if we were going to buy a property, how we could crunch down those numbers. This is for all those rookies out there. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Alrighty, so little crash course. If let's say you're single and you're in between 20 and 25. The best thing, if you ever have just a passion to get rental properties, or if you wanted to get in that deal, is I would buy a house that you think that you could live into, and I would plan on living into. Get in, fix it up, definitely get a fixer-upper, get in, fix it up, and then see if you can rent it out. And then honestly, that's what I did. So I bought a house on the same street that I grew up on, still live with my mom. But just remember, real estate takes a ton of money. Now, you can go out and get bank loans. Even with this financial crash, it's still easy to get loans. I just refinanced my house. I couldn't believe they do it because I don't show any income on paper very much, but they did it. So getting loans, if you have good W-2 income or any type of that income, you can make it happen. So if you want to get in a rental property business, step number one is save $10,000. You got to save $10,000 at least to get a down payment on something and fix something up. Once let's say you find a good fixer-upper, fix it up. Normally to refinance and cash out, so let's just say for easy numbers, you buy something for $50,000, and if you fixed it up, you know that you could, let's just say it's a home run, it would reappraise for $100,000. So if you only had to put, let's say 5% down on this, that's $2,500. And then you have to put $7,000 in cash into it. That's doing all the work yourself. And just to realize, just to paint a house, going to Home Depot and buying 2 5-gallon buckets of paint for all the walls and basement walls, and then a 5-gallon for ceilings and trim costs $600. That's just paint alone. So you're going to do a lot of labor yourself. So let's just say you're in this thing for $10,000. Now, what you want to do for all of us non-millionaires is you want to cash out refi. So what you would want to do is fix it up, and now your house that you bought that was a fixer-upper, you did your sweat equity, you put your cash into it, and now it's worth $100,000. You got to let the loan, what they call season, for 6 months. So you hold on to it for 6 months, and then you try to refinance it. And if it's going to be a true rental property, typically a bank will give you 80% out of the appraised value. And on this one, you owe $47,500 because you had a down payment in there. So now if you reappraise this, you can loan up to $80,000. So this is your new mortgage amount, but you only owe $47,000. Let's just call it $45,000 just for easy math. Now you got your bankroll. Now you're leveraging up. You're taking on debt. Now you're playing with $35,000. So you bought it for $50,000. You fixed it up, put sweat equity into it. It's now worth $100,000. The bank will lend you 80% of the new appraised value. You're going to take out debt against this at $80,000, so you got to watch cash flow. Your payment's going to go up. They pay off your original note because you have a new bank and a new lender, but you'll walk away with closing with $35,000. Now you got a little bankroll. So it's all about trying to take an asset, leverage it up with the bank. People do it all the time. They do it with commercial real estate, single-family homes, but now you got a little bit of a bankroll. If you're ever going to make some stuff happen, if you don't have the new fidget gadget or anything that's a great marketing Facebook, anything like that, this is the grind. This is how you're going to have to do it. So you have to live really disciplined. I just knew at my age I always wanted rental properties, and as soon as I got out of college, everybody else, that's when flat screen TVs came out, everybody's buying those, everybody's dumping all their money, everybody's got a nice little salary. I was working every single day at Enterprise Rent a Car, and then working on rental properties on the weekends. I was living with my mom, and I just, humbled myself and said, that's fine. But now you get in this position where good things happen. Like I say, when you have your laser focus and you're really in on stuff. I got 4 rental properties doing it this way on my own in the first year and a half out of college. And then my uncle's friend stepped in, and he was an investor, and we bought 40 cents. So this is a realistic way that you want to do it. Also, my real big advice on, and I've done one multifamily as a 12-unit complex. I bought it and sold it all within 8 months, and just so you guys can see the hype out there, I made $60,000 off that, so that's a good deal. But if you're going to get into rental properties, you need to either do none or you need to at least do 5. So everybody always has what I call the problem child. So you're going to have one shitty house that's always going to have issues. You're going to have probably 3 houses that you will literally never hear from ever, and then you'll have one that's in between. So you don't want to have your first rental property be this terrible thing and put a bad taste in your mouth. So if you're going to do rental properties, just tell yourself, I'm going to do 5. Just so you guys all know too, the government will insure up to 10 loans to any single person. So that's the easy money from banks. So that's definitely possible. But I mean, it's a great way to build equity and do things. The biggest thing on real estate is you're buying something from a tax deal, and this goes a little bit more in depth. You're buying something that you get to depreciate, so it offsets income, but it's always appreciating in normal market. So this is kind of the quick math on stuff. So the takeaway is buy a fixer-upper and go into it with a no-risk mentality of worst-case scenario, I'm going to live here. Fix it up, try to refinance it in 6 months, and once you refinance out, you're starting with the bankroll. I've been rolling the same $70,000 that I leveraged up in the first 2 years out of college, and it's helped me get to a spot where I definitely have a net worth over $1 million, but it is what it is. And I have over $1 million in debt. So this type of stuff happens, but I mean, that's the game you got to play, and you got to take some risk.
Number crunching 101 right here with the main Grant. Grant, what's the best advice that you can give to someone that's looking, like an 18 to 20-year-old that's just looking to start their own business, looking to get in the game?
So number one, find something that you're passionate about. Like I said, Zach and I are talking a lot about his new venture that he's got going on. If you really love something, or you're passionate about it, or you're passionate about a system, you're going to succeed. It is going to be harder than you think. Literally everything I've ever done is harder than I thought. I still have, every time I buy a damn house now, I'm like, it's only going to take me a week to get this thing done. It takes a month. But I think that's a good problem to have, because I never go into something like, oh shit, what I get myself into. I'm always optimistic, and if it's harder, whatever. You got a lot of hours in the day. But my biggest advice is, if you're passionate about something, Just stay on it. Everything is a grind. That comes back to that thing, oh, you're lucky. Oh, you're spoiled, or how this happened to you. Everything's a grind, but if you're passionate about something and you like doing it, it's going to be worth it, And then if you're blessed to get in a position of where you do have a good business and make sure that everybody's well taken care of. That's the right thing to do from, a faith standpoint, is take care of everybody that makes it happen every day. And it's the best business decision, because when people are bought in and stuff, you will blow the shit out of the competition. My company, the one thing I can tell anybody, and I'm not very good at sales, when I go in, the number one thing I'm confident in is my team versus anybody else's team. My team will kick the shit out of anybody else we compete with, from a work ethic standpoint, from a quality standpoint, from an ethical standpoint. I mean, all of us would run through walls for each other, and it takes a while to build that culture, but once it's built, then when people come into your organization and they assimilate into how everybody else is, or they weed themselves the hell out. But so anybody starting to stick with something passionate, if you're not willing to stay up all night, and if you're not willing to work every single weekend for a couple of years, I would work for somebody else. If you are willing to do those things, you'll make it happen, I promise.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you so much for dropping by. Tell everybody where they can find you or your company on social media, and we're going to link that up in the description below.
I think, and that we're behind the curve on that. So I'm just got a marketing company redoing our website, but you can check out Everready Services. I don't normally do this. Talk with Zach, and I like doing it with him. But so there's really nothing to link up. But I just wish everybody luck, and just be ready to hustle, man. Nothing's given, nobody's lucky. Get out there and bust your ass, and if you're passionate about it, you will do well, I promise. Have faith in yourself.
The best investment you can make is in yourself. Thank you, brother, for tuning in.
Absolutely.
See you guys next time.